how did we get here that IREN and MMH now doing a partnership? What was the thought process behind it?
What I can say is I, as James, being lucky to meet a very dynamic person called Manuela Pastore in India last year. And she told me what she was doing with the communities in India, especially farmers. And that point of farmers connected strongly with me because already IREN, we do a lot of work with farmers in the Lake region of Kenya. We've been operating there for the last 7 years, and we normally do what we call trade fairs, food festivals, culinary arts. So I shared with her what we do. And that was in India. Of course, I didn't know that there's going to be a possibility for us to meet again. And then I come back to Kenya, and much later, I meet Manuela doing a special challenge for students at Strathmore University. And they were showcasing the activities of the Strathmore. What struck me as very unique approach by the Manuela team was that they would get students to develop an idea, and before they actualize their thought process, they'll be challenged to go to the actual community. In this case, they are going to the slum areas of the country, and especially Nairobi, first of all, to test on their idea, and then they would come back and they would be asked, do you still believe in the idea that you had thought about before? And then having been in the real field, they would say, no, we have to change, you know? So I participated as a jury in one of those, and it was very exciting. And much later, of course, I've attended many others. And so that's now the point of how the journey starts because of meeting Manuela Pastore. But on our end, the Interregion Economic Network has been working with smallholder farmers for a long time. We know some of the challenges they have is the market access. Actually, the definition of poverty in rural areas is not necessarily about lack of land. It's mostly about the cash flow. So our team, that's Esperance and other colleagues, came up with a way of how can we activate something that can make sure that the farmers in the rural areas can get cash flow. And so the idea of publishing a cookbook was to promote actually chefs in rural areas. We know there are these professional chefs in big hotels, but this was to promote chefs in rural areas who know how to prepare indigenous foods and have a possibility of people in urban areas, especially us, the middle class, some of us whose children have grown up in the city, they can't prepare indigenous foods anymore, to have a chance of learning how to prepare these foods, maybe how to hire some of our chefs in rural areas to be chefs in the family setting, and you pay them and promote the indigenous food. Next to it, promoting the chefs, which is the skill, and then the uptake of the foods that are produced in rural areas, which is now why we have the recipe. So it's a story that I think is ongoing as we speak. And during COVID-19, with the lockdown, everybody has been doing it yourself, testing it in the house. And I think Esperance and the colleagues have been very good in promoting this, and we have very good feedback of people who tried some of the foods. Of course, the challenge has been how to get ingredients,
right,
moving from one spot to the other.
Right.
But we saw again some real trying to put them in buses, you know, put some of the vegetables in buses and send them to Nairobi. At some point, even our office here became a holding point, a warehouse of some vegetables, mushrooms that have been sent by farmers for people in the urban areas. So in a nutshell, I would say it's meeting a dynamic person and with a very unique style, which IREN would wish also to really incorporate that style into its activities, that you don't just sit in an office, air conditioned, and then you think of a theory, and then you say, there you go, you've got a solution.
Right.
You think about it, but go drop spot where the issue is,
right,
and you'll be shocked. You delete your initial thought process. So I really thank Manuela for this possibility.
All right, great. Very good background information there that I believe we will all benefit from having this conversation now. So then to understand, it's good to understand where we are coming from, for us to understand where we are going. So then now we are talking about a partnership. Manuela, at this point, I'd like you to just come in and speak to us more about MMH, or Making More Health. This initiative, what does it mean? What do you do? And what will it mean for this partnership, and especially you doing it with IREN and the communities that are set to benefit from this partnership?
Yeah, this is my pleasure to be here today and to share a little bit more about the background. So, so I'm the global director of an initiative which is called Making More Health. It's an international initiative which was launched already in 2010 by Boehringer Ingelheim, a huge pharmaceutical company I'm working with. And this social entrepreneurial initiative aims to create win-wins. So it's not just a pure CSR initiative, but it wants to combine social with business. This is, let's say, the overall goal. And when we say business, it means to prepare to help markets, or to prepare markets where there are no markets in place. And it's a very long-term oriented initiative, though it's not about making profit for Boehringer, but it's for empowering people that markets can grow. And therefore, we focus mostly on social entrepreneurship, which means we have a large network with social entrepreneurs all over the world, also in Kenya. There are a few we are working with and where we do also accelerator programs with. But in this project, or in this initiative, we have also identified two main project areas. One is in India, as James mentioned, and this was also where we met, or this was the background why we met. Then in India, it's in South India, and we started in 2014 already. It was very successful. I will tell you more about the Kenyan ecosystem we are building, but just to give you the origins. And because this was very successful in India, how we started to do it in a very pragmatic way on the ground with a lot of partners, we decided in 2016-17 also to do something similar in Africa. And we have chosen Kenya for that as a second project area. And our focus area is in Western Kenya, mainly Bungoma County. What we do is we want to not just to deliver let's say, a single individual solution. For example, as a pharma company, we could say, we do diabetes awareness programs. Mm-hmm. But this is not what we are looking for. We are looking to say, okay, there is a region, and in this specific region, it's rather a small one as a focus area. The people we are working with, these are the people living close to the poverty line. What are the challenges they have? So we start with the people as the focus, and then we see that it's not just, for example, diabetes as an issue or health as an issue, but health depends a lot, for example, on infrastructures, on income generation, on education. So it's a holistic solution we need, and not just this one shot solution and then just to highlight it and to write about it, right. How many others do. But it's much more about creating an ecosystem of change. This is how we call that. And how can we build an ecosystem of change means there are a lot of different challenges these people have. So we need also to build a network of partners who can help us to contribute with solutions. And because of this ecosystem approach, we are very interested in partnering, for example, with IREN, but also with Kevin and his NGO, or with the universities and these hackathons James, you mentioned before. And to see also with the social entrepreneurs in the network who has which solution that fits to which problem in which area. So what we have done is in Bungoma County, we have now a Making More Health Center where we have a lot of different training sessions on health, but also where we build a school, where we have hygiene trainings, where we help people to generate income while they produce, for example, soap, which was very helpful in the COVID times, because the people we trained, let's say farmer women or people with albinism, which is another big focus of our areas where we are very dedicated to, but also, let's say, women in general, or also farmers. We offer them different training sessions on health, on hygiene, on income generation, but also, for example, on chicken growth, animal health. And we bring together several partners who help us. So, for example, on one side, inside, we bring employees on the spot who are experts and help them, for example, to understand how to make soap or how to grow chicken, because animal health is a big part of our business. So we have these experts who can help the people to understand how to grow better chicken. But also, for example, chemists who help to produce soap, or people like Fausia in my team. She's a local, yeah. She's from Kenya. She helps us a lot to understand, for example, how to educate people about albinism, and she's developing a lot of materials. And when we talk about health, we see health also in a very broad understanding. So it's about safety at home, it's about nutrition, it's about, of course, also how to prevent diseases. It has nothing to do with our products, but it's really how to help people that they can have a healthier life in all ways of how you can think about it. And one partner we also have in our network is Kevin. And when we start projects, then we try to involve as much as possible also local NGOs, local influencers, universities. So it's not that we produce, for example, so we had lastly, and Kevin will mention that later on, we had a hygiene project on menstruation pads. That it's not that we produce the menstruation pads and send them to Kenya. This does not make any sense. Okay. But we could ask people, for example, in Kevin's women group, they produce the menstruation pads, and then we brought them to our Bungoma County, to our project areas as well, which created a win for the women at Victoria Lake and some income generation, and also helping them with more hygiene awareness, of course. But at the same time, it helped also our main focus areas and focus target groups in Bungoma County. Right. And the same is somehow also with IREN and with James. I mean, using and building a network together and see how we can match our energies and then help people on his side, but also on our side, and maybe also in Nairobi where we have another focus point. This is where we think the developmental work should go. So it's more about thinking in networks and in ecosystems instead of dedicating all our energy into one specific project, for example, women hygiene or whatever it is. Okay. Yeah. All right. And the target, sorry. Yeah.
Yes, just finish up. Sorry.
I just wanted to say, so the target groups is always, let's say, people living close to the poverty line. Yeah. And it's not just women. Also, if we have a focus on women generally, but of course we want also to help farmers, the men behind let's say the entire families. Yeah, you have to take all into consideration. And we have, for example, also a big water purification project, because it does not help just to give them some good information about nutrition, but then, they have not good drinking water. So to understand the whole and then to find holistic solutions, that is what we are going for.
Well, some people say good health begins with, what you take in, what you eat. And I think this is a middle ground for the partnership between MMH and IREN Growthpad, and especially when we're talking about Chakula Chetu, because it begins from the farm. What do you put on your table? What do you eat at the end of the day? So still on you, Manuela, what do we expect from this partnership as far as especially indigenous foods are concerned? And because you mentioned that your work highly involves around empowerment, what do we expect from this partnership, or what are you looking forward to?
Yeah, I think there are 2 or 3 different dimensions. One dimension is definitely nutrition, as you said, is important for the locals we are working with. So on one side, while we have this partnership, we will raise more awareness with that, also in our target groups about nutrition, and help to make them understand that it is not always a fast food, this modern lifestyle they should look for, but we will do nutrition sessions, educational sessions, and help them to, also to believe in their own food and their own power on how they farm it, and that this is really the best way also for their own health, and also trying to do it in a way that they can gain money out of it. So there is a clear educational awareness perspective also for our farmers in Bungoma County. This is one. The second one is, we believe that in a partnership you have to create win-wins for everyone. And when the idea of the cooking book came up, based on our experiences inside the company, we saw that there might be an opportunity to sell single recipes of this cooking book to our employees. Our employees know Making More Health very well. We talk about 50,000 employees worldwide, and they want to support individually also Making More Health. Now, we cannot bring 50,000 people to Kenya to do something, but everyone could, for example, just help while downloading one of these recipes and paying it €2 for that, and half of it would then go as a donation back to, for example, one of our project areas, Kevin Odero, where he can invest it into this women education he's doing. So this is a second perspective which says, why not selling these recipes inside, and while we sell it, we have some extra donation which we can invest into projects which help them again on the ground, the people who need it, whether then it's used for hygiene or for helping them to get storage room for the fishing women Kevin is working with. And the third dimension that I do not want to underestimate is, as I said, partnering means creating a win-win. I hope that we can help also James and IREN to get even more traction, help him to promote him not just inside Beringen Ingelheim, but generally also in Kenya within our networks. We are working strongly also with AMPATH in Eldoret, and with social workers from AMPATH, though this will help also to create connections. I don't know where this will lead to, but based on the experience I had in the past years, it is always a win. Because in the upcoming projects, wherever you see that nutrition has an important role, you can connect it. And you can use the materials, you can have webinars, you can use it in different ways. And this is where I say, I hope that the partnership also with IREN will grow, and hopefully maybe lead also to some projects we cannot even imagine right now.
All right. And I think at this point, and thank you for underscoring that, I think at this point we'll bring in Kevin. Your name has come up a number of times, the kind of projects you're doing with MMH. So let's hear from you. What's the WAWA group? What's the partnership like with the MMH down in Homa Bay? What do you do?
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Like Manuela has mentioned, my name is Kevin Odera, and I'm from Kenya, Homa Bay County. I'll first start by saying like how I met Manuela and how I also met James. James, how are you? I met Manuela through a connection from our best friends in India called Sabri and Paul. They're the founders of Kanthari International. So I got a scholarship and I schooled there for about 8 months. Just to start like the organization that I'm running today. It's called WAWA Kenya. WAWA Kenya is a Swahili abbreviation called Wanawake Wavuvi Kenya. So why did I start this organization? I started this organization because of the personal connection that I have for women. This was a scenario where I lost my mother due to sex for fish. I don't know whether you understand what sex for fish is, but for those who don't understand, sex for fish is a scenario where we live along the lake. And so which means like buying and selling of fish is the main economic activity that is taking place in this region. And so because my mom did not have like enough capital, so she had to exchange sex for fish. And that is how she contracted HIV and AIDS and later died, and both my dad as well. So I decided to start this organization because there are many women and girls who are going through the same problem right now, even as we speak. So this is why basically I started this organization, so that I can reach out to these women who are suffering along the lake region. Ideally, we are supposed to work in both counties that are served by the Lake Victoria, that is Kisumu, Homa Bay, Siaya, and the Migori.
Mm-hmm.
But now, because we are just like, I think, one and some around 8 months old, we just started working in Homa. What do we do with these women? Because we have the lake and we have the fish. So we decided, like, why can't we train these women so that some of them can have the skills to go inside the lake and get their own fish and come back. When we do this, then they're not going to get the opportunity to share their bodies with men so that they can get fish. So they will be having their boats and the skills to go and get fish and come out. And because of the dwindling of fish, where you find like sometimes they come back without fish, then we started like, why can't we create, like, we train some to create like the fish ponds. And so we decided to train some women on fish ponds. So I'm going to measure like the ones who are trained on fish farming. And hopefully this group, Manuela met them way back, I think late last year, about 15 women after we got like some funding from Bachman. So we trained 15 on how they can create, we call it aquaculture or recirculating aquaculture system. Recirculating aquaculture system is where water gets from the source into the fish pond, and then fish uses it up, and then we discharge this water into the vegetables around them. And so the vegetables will use the nutrients and then purify the water, and then water goes back to the fish pond. So when we combine like the fish farming and the vegetables that I've talked about, then we are going to have something known as aquaponic. Though this is not developed so much, we are partnering with this organization, with this gentleman called George Tito. Is one of our board members, and is running this farm called Moga Fish Farm. And so far we have like 2 fish ponds, the aquaponic fish ponds, which are built by 15 women. And so this is where Manuela came in, and she met these women, and she helped them, because we also running like, how can we empower them economically? So we train them in various areas like entrepreneurship and the rest, and also table banking, so they can continue doing the table banking as fish continues to grow. So currently we are working on handwork. And I'm just late. I came in the office when they are in their training center. They are making like very good things like these ones and things like this one. These are young women, and they have like their downs, which I'm not going to mention right now. What I want you to know, like today we are having like a training skills, developing skills for women and girls who are maybe they've gone like through gender-based violence cases and all that. So, like they said, the gradient between health and wealth improves when the income grows. And this is where making more health comes in. I heard Manuela talking about a win-win situation. And right. I will go very fast and mention just one. This is the last activity that we did like lastly of the pads. Now, women in Bungoma are in need of sanitary towels so that they can support the hygiene, because we've talked about like when the health is poor, and then health is also, and income is also going to go down, because you are going to spend much time in going to the hospitals, treating yourself, and perhaps maybe this money is not there. So if a woman in Bungoma needs a sanitary towel, and there's a woman in Homa Bay who knows how to make this sanitary towel, that is now making more health. So Manuela connected us so that women in Homa Bay can win, and also women in Bungoma can also win. So women, my beneficiaries, they know how to make reusable sanitary towels. Then Manuela donated like that money, and we made around 1,800 sanitary towels, and we gave women in Bungoma 1,700 pads. That is a win. This is a win, Cindy. And so we remain with around 100 sanitary towels. They are still here. I have not distributed them yet because I'm still looking looking for those people who are needy. We also have to look at the poverty line, those who are living below the poverty line. Yeah. So we've done a lot of several activities with MML. There is a day like one of our beneficiary, the husband is disabled. He was just born okay, but then again, due to the work that he does, the sinking the well, he got inside the well. It was very deep, and now today he cannot walk anymore. Then Manuela came up and donated like a wheelchair for him. Manuela, when you heard about the soap making, liquid soap making, this is it happened during Corona period, and Manuela assisted us in getting the chemicals, and he gave me like a script on how we can train these women. I did myself during Corona, and today I want to say like about 230 women are surviving because of liquid soap making, and they meet like every week. They have to meet. They make the chemicals. They send us the money for the chemicals, but they use the profit. So that is how it's done. We also had like some activities with the MMLH. When Corona came, flood also came. I think you heard about Corona mentioned something on the water purifiers. Mm-hmm. So when we went there, people were really the victims. The houses were swept, and water sanitation was not good. Hygiene was like health issues were all everywhere. And so Manila gave us some contributions, and we bought like some water purifiers, and we took them to these people. And the people that we help, when you help someone one time and they still see they need more help, but then why can't you be very innovative and do your own thing, your own way, because we are not MMH is not going to be here forever. Then today they called me like I think 2 weeks ago, and they told me like they want to make like their own water purifying machine. So so they have the place, they have the center, they have the house. So they only need like how they can get the machine to purify water so that they can bottle and then sell it again.
I think bottom line really, Kevin, what you're saying is teach them how to fish. Don't always give them fish.
Don't always give them fish.
Very, very empowering stories there you're telling us. Thank you, Kevin. At this point, I'd like to bring in James. IREN has been very specific about foods and recipes that are very indigenous. I know that the end game perhaps is on just activating the rural economies. I'd like you to speak to us about the connection between these foods and how we are activating the rural economic cash flows, and how that then merges to the entire game plan with the MMH.
Thank you, Akisa, and thank you, Kevin. It's very good to hear the good work you're doing in the Lake region. Actually, part of the reason why we are hosting a virtual food in Kenya, I think the first of its kind, is the realization that on top of the traditional lack of cash flow in rural areas, COVID-19 has wrecked the economy. If you recall, the other day announced that 92% of arrivals dropped off the market. So we are looking at an industry worth $1.6 billion and 92% getting wiped off. Yesterday, Didi told us an estimated 80%, so it's close to 100%. And these are jobs, this income. We know when you talk about tourism, they have to feed. It's the farmers that produce the food, and all this is gone. And the good news that comes from this virtual festival, and especially from the discussions we had yesterday, we had an expert on food tourism who was pointing out that the food tourism is the tourism that is done from the heart. The chef is this woman who is passionate about chicken preparation, fish preparation. For those who are Kenyans, ugali, or South Africans, they call it pap. And we got we had even examples of honey, that you can have tourism just around the honey production. So this virtual festival has pointed out the possibility of how actually we can kickstart our economy, both from the industry big picture story, which is the tourism industry, and then looking for ways of how we can cascade it down to the rural area. And when it comes to the rural area, that's where indigenous foods come into play, because a lot of our communities in the rural area are not consuming KFC or Burger King kind of food. They actually produce wholemeal. If it's a vegetable, straight from the farm. If it's a chicken, maybe they reared it themselves. And so as IREN Growthpad, we have been exploring a possibility of how we can create a platform that somebody can make use of to connect with those kinds of activities in the rural area to the mainstream tourism. So that when you have visitors going to Masai Mara, they should be able to stop maybe at Calvin's home and have lunch on their way to Kisumu, and then leave some money with the women. So I really like what he's doing, because part of the activities the women can have is also to organize themselves in such a way that they can be along these tourist circuits to offer, you know, food to the tourists at a fee and not for free. And so yesterday we had our whole blueprint, and there's even a consultant ready to assist anybody who would wish to do what we call food from the heart. So it means you're doing it because you like it. You're not just doing it because you have been in a hotel. And so that possibility then creates the win-win, because if they can, after they have done the fishing, there's a group that can be specialists in the fish-related recipes, and then they're cooking it from the heart. I'm just quoting again from our speaker of yesterday. Then we're creating a circuit where people can say, okay, let's go have, like in Nairobi here, we have Mama Oliech, if those who are from Nairobi. Fish from the heart, from Mama Oliech, you know? There are several Mama Oliech, I'm sure, in Calvin's area. There are several of them in Bungoma. There are several of them at the coast of Kenya. And our interaction with Manuela, we had actually, I shared with Manuela this Chakula Chetu book, which is Lake Region. And one of her challenge question was, what about the whole of Kenya? And part of what we are doing now with this virtual festival is actually we've included the whole of Kenya. There are chefs who are showcasing their work. There's actually voting going on as we speak. A competition of recipes is going on our platform. At the end of today, there's going to be the best voted recipe. So it's meant to kickstart a momentum that with the platforms, digital or otherwise, and with the policies, we know that the government too has a role to play, and we are looking at a possibility as IREN on the think tank side, pushing an argument that there should be a policy to encourage even international hotels to always include at least an indigenous cuisine. That way, then you get rural women to supply those types of cuisines to the hotels. Otherwise, if you talk to people who travel to Nairobi, they sometimes say the hotel just gives them the New York experience. You're in the hotel, the food is the same as what you'll get in New York, and yet they would like to have a Kenyan experience. So we are excited, and the simplicity, easy way that the Make More Health brings into the conversation, I think makes us super happy, because sometimes when you are doing projects such as what IREN does, sometimes we speak really on top of the people's heads, and they're wondering, can this be implemented? But now you see with the Make More Health, making it easy, understandable, and easy to be used. You don't have to have PhD in preparation of fish. Although the other day we learned that some people have PhD on how to wash hands, you know, so Kenya has a lot of interesting things. So, but we'd like to create a connection. Even if you have a PhD on how to wash hands, connect also with the people in the rural area. A few minutes before we started this session, we had an expert on videography, just sharing how you can record your experience. For example, what Kevin is talking about, if it's recorded and it's digitalized and shared, more people will be interested in some of the women are doing, and then you gain out of that. So we are happy to really put these platforms out, possibility for others to be able to make use of us and to access the wider market.
Right, great. And I think at this point, James, you really covered on your side as the IREN Growthpad and the intention of it all. I see we have a number of participants, and at this point, I think it would be great for us to just also open up to them, hear some of the comments or questions to Manuela, Kevin, or yourself on this particular partnership. As we continue with this conversation, a lot has been said, from win-wins to the point of empowerment of it all, improving our general lifestyle, James. Like you say, let's move away from the fast food way of life to more indigenous foods that perhaps when you follow the chain, you see it benefits that mama mboga or that rural woman who's with perhaps a quarter an acre of land that she's put, various indigenous foods. So at this point, let's open up, see what the audience has to say. Any questions to Manuela, Kevin, or James? Any comments, contribution to the conversation will be very, very welcome.
If there's no comment, I could just add another one.
Yes.
That COVID-19 has forced all of us to go digital. Mm-hmm. And therefore, we are happy that at least us, we had started going digital prior to the COVID-19. And so we would like to work, especially with the young people who are tech savvy, to try and really bring the rural economy activities to the surface via digital platforms. Because I know even now, as we speak, the urban best have an upper advantage because they are highly connected, but we have a lot of potential in the rural area. And I think just listening to Kevin, I can see my team must be already thinking about how they can follow up the women he's working with to find out what they cook, how they cook it, and how deep their heart is in what they cook, and how someone else can be able to enjoy what they cook. And this we bring to the digital platform, and we create that connection. And I think this is basically what do together make more health, that we don't need to reinvent networks. If they have a network, we bring the synergies, and these synergies then add value to each other's activities.
Right. All right. Thank you, James, for that. I can see Tracy's hand is up. Let's give Tracy a chance to also be part of the conversation. Tracy, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Nakisa and everyone else. I think I just unmuted to say that I didn't have any question or comments. I'm just happy to hear about what IREN is doing. But then someone started talking, so I just said I would hold on.
Okay, great. And thank you for being part of this conversation. We're heading to the tail end of it all, but Manuela, and I'd still really speak about this partnership because it has attracted a lot of traction and a lot of interest. Many would love to see how this is going to work. I have worked with IREN on 1 or 2 projects. I'm aware that they have a number of projects also running. Is this partnership restricted to one of the projects? Are we looking at long-term partnerships that would still be a win-win for everyone who is on the table? What are some of the views you have on this, and how further we can take this conversation?
Yes, so I hope that this will become really a long-term partnership, and that we identify together the next projects. Yeah, it's not that we say we now want to do this and that, and then IREN, you do it or not. This is not the way. The way is rather to learn from each other and to sit together, to develop ideas, and then to start small and to grow big. So the success of Making More Health in the past was always not just to talk too much about whatever could be possible, but for us, having the same values in mind is very important, and then to start small. And this is what we do here as well. We have heard about it. I heard about this cooking book, and I knew Kevin, and then some ideas came up, and I said, okay, let's go for it. Let's try. And now when we have started, we have already seen, okay, how can we concretize it? But also now I have with my team already the next ideas. For example, how can we, or what can we maybe do to promote it in Germany? And this is something I want also to highlight here. James, you described very well what can happen and what should happen in Kenya with this tourism, for example. It's a fantastic idea. I bring very regularly managers also from other companies in the future to Kenya. Why not having a food-based tour with them so that they understand the social project, but at the same time, they also would have the benefit of having this very good food. And on the other side, if I look at from the European standpoint, I would say everyone who thinks about Africa as a tourism or a tourist normally thinks about safaris and animals and nice landscapes and Kenyan, maybe the nice runners. But why not positioning the Kenyan food as a really, really good food? I did not know before I went to Kenya. But for example, we have a fantastic promotional way for Italian food, for French food, for Austrian food. People go to Austria just to have an Austrian coffee, let's say. So, and if you look at the books in the shelves, you find a lot of cooking books, but you don't find so many cooking books about Africa in general. And the Kenyan food is fantastic. So why not trying to position that as well as a value that can attract not just people who buy the cooking book, but also maybe come to Kenya and say, hey, I want to taste this good food. So I think there is still a big opportunity also for the cooking tradition of Kenya. And I would like to invite Kenyan people also to think about it. And let's start locally small, but let's also think a little bit bigger. And with the digital opportunities we have now, today, there are also new opportunities on how we can grow it beyond Kenya, and then maybe also make some money that can then go back to social issues and help to grow the economy. This is something definitely we should have as a big goal as well in mind.
Opportunities there, and I like that. And maybe we will be looking forward to some of the long-term partnerships that will again inject especially to the rural economies here. We are running out of time, so perhaps we'll get the closing remarks here. Kevin, you've spoken beautifully about how we are empowering women, especially along the at the lakeside on various projects. You've talked about stable banking, you've talked about hydroponics rather, helping them to fish. I heard of boat building. What's the future there in it? Are you seeing any possible more partnerships with those we have here today?
Yeah, I see more partnership. I'd like to thank each and every person. Like I said, I've had a meeting with James somewhere in Imperial, that is in Kisumu, and I think this platform Chakula Chetu is a special one. And I can see, for us Luos, we are known by fish. And like he has said, he's going to set a team here. So we have different types of fish, how we can make them just want to tell you, I'm not a woman, but I work with women, so I know what they make. There's a fish called lino. Lino is just a dried fish. a dried fish, and it can be cooked so well. And it's dried that when Manuela wants maybe a number of them in Germany, then we just put it in a plane, it goes. And there's another one also called obambla. Obambla is like you just take tilapia, you dissect it, and then you dry it, sun-dried, and it can be cooked well. So in a Luo perspective, you cook it, you put, I don't know, like the sour milk and all that. I think, James, this is a very good platform, and I'm pretty sure that you are going to come here so that we can learn together. Our women can be able to make this food because it's something they know. They've been making food for long time, longest time ever. For Manuela, I think we've partnered a long way, and we are still hoping that you are going to work more and more. Like I told you, I think I started telling you that our women needs like how we can have like the fish supply chain where they get fish from the source and they store it somewhere because it got spoiled because they don't have like the storage capacity, the cold room, they don't have it. And so you told me to make a video and so that I can share, and I think I did that. And you see like the need, there is a big need of how we can have like the supply chain and the value addition of fish.
Right.
So that, yeah, we don't go around like looking for job and this job that we can create for them. Yeah.
Thank
so,
you.
Akisa, I have like, we are going to partner like a long way with the people in this platform. Thank you very much.
I like that. Thank you very much. James, you will close it for us as our host here today. I know there's a lot of possibilities, and we will keep track of the conversation we've had here to just see what we're able to achieve and what needs more pushing. But from your side, how do you see this panning out? You need, yes, great.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, I think what I'd like to do now is, of course, to thank everybody for joining us in this conversation. I know we gave it the name launching, and of course it's launching. I know in politics they are used to cutting a tape to say it's been launched, but for us, I think this conversation in itself is a launch. We're trying, to gel, share a possibility that win-win is not restricted, it's an open platform. We'd like more people to join in and make this very big initiative. And we know that with COVID-19, people have lost jobs, they need jobs, and we have to create the jobs. And whenever we can do this, I think we should not shy away from small. As Manuela said, you can start small. If you can do it big. But let all of us not wait, but have action and talk less.
Right. Thank you very much, James. Let's get your closing remarks, Manuela, as we wrap it up.
Well, from my side, I just want to highlight one thing. I think we are all doing good things, whether it's James with IREN, whether it's Kevin with Wawa, or myself with Making More House. I strongly believe if we put together our efforts and if we connect the dots, we can achieve much more. And this is the way I would envision where we should go, and hopefully make nutrition as a topic, income generation, health, and so on, even stronger in Kenya, for Kenyan people, because you simply deserve it. It's a great nation. So let's put it together and create this kind of win-win for everyone.
Great.
Thank you very much. See you as partners.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Manuela. I hope James will get you the cookbook so you're also able to make some of those recipes if you're able to get the ingredients, and give us feedback on how our food is. But thank you very much for joining us here today, and committing to working with a team here. We don't take it for granted. Manuela Pastore, Kevin, thank you for the beautiful stories, and we wish you well with Wawa Group. And once I'm in Homa Bay, I will give you a call and see some of the works you're doing there. As a journalist, we're interested in such stories. And James, always thank you for hosting such important conversations. From here, we'll be tracking where we go. Once again, my name is Akisa Wandera, and thank you for joining us here. At this point, I think visitors will leave at their own pleasure.
Yeah, thank you so much, and bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye,
Bye, friends. Bye.
Bye.